I say this every week, but tight ends are going to tight end, and tight ends are going to do what tight ends do. Be volatile, be up and down week to week, be very unpredictable. But now everybody's looking at Tucker Kraft off the waiver wire as the next big pickup at the tight end spot. We're going to deep dive this situation. We're going to look at the advanced metrics. We're going to see whether or not you need him for fantasy football. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing these deep dives every day. Probably going to rack up 4 or 5 deep dive videos today. A few more tomorrow. I try and bust out as many as possible so you can get a good look of these player situations, the advanced metrics, the strategy around these players, and everything else. We're also using these videos to help you set your lineups by looking at the matchups. Tomorrow, I'll drop another matchup video that you're going to want to watch. Click that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. Don't disappoint Ric Flair, please. But Tucker Kraft went off last week, targeted 9 times, 6 catches, 53 yards, and a touchdown. The workload was there. The opportunity was there. It was also a game script that broke. The Packers were behind early against the Vikings. The Vikings were up, and the Packers had to dig deep and get back into this game, and Tucker Kraft got some extra targets in this matchup. However, the volume's there, and there's some opportunities in this offense for a guy like Tucker Kraft, and he's very interesting. And in this matchup, he was in on 66.7% of the snaps. Luke Musgrave, 55.6%. Luke Musgrave is battling an injury, trying to get back out there. That being said, when you look at the routes ran, Musgrave 13, Kraft 14. Kraft 56% route participation rate. Not many air yards because it's a tight end spot. A 16% target share though, because we got that work in the passing game. But Tucker Kraft is a supreme athlete at the tight end spot. 4.69 40-yard dash. Very good for the tight end spot. But we hit it above average with burst score, agility score. We can move. We got drafted in the 3rd round. They double dipped at the tight end spot in last year's draft in 2023 with Musgrave and Kraft because that talent fell to them and they wanted to make sure they were good at tight end. And teams will traditionally do this. The Ravens do this a lot. Double up at tight end, get 2 talented tight ends, maybe one earlier, one late, and see what happens. That gives you more shots at the pinata at a position that's very volatile with prospects. But both these tight ends have flashed with their talent on the field. Musgrave, like I said, is battling an injury right now. He's trying to get back. If he's out, you're looking Kraft to the moon when it comes to routes ran and snaps. I wasn't going to say points. I was going to say with the work rate. But tight end is going to tight end. What does that mean? Tight ends usually just suck for fantasy football, and they're very volatile. You can't predict them. This is week 1. So the 6th best tight end in PPR, points per reception, as you know, 9.5 PPR fantasy points. Just about 4 points away from the tight end 17. Just about 4 points away from the tight end 20. In week 2, tight end 6, 11.3. But the tight end 9, Brenton Strange, 9.5. Just a few points away from the tight end 20. And week 3, we're the same. The tight end 7, Cade Otton, just a few points away from the tight end 19, Jordan Atkins, 6.9. Oh, week 4, same deal, right? Week 4 is actually a good week. But we had 10 tight ends scoring double-digit fantasy points. 3 of them over 15. And the tight end 11, just a few points away from the tight end 20. It's like this every week, and some weeks are worse than others. Like the top 6 tight ends are the only ones scoring in double digits, where tight ends 8 through 10 you don't even care to once. So what's the big difference here? And Tucker Kraft was the tight end 1 with 17.3 PPR fantasy points in week 4. And he was the surprise play. And when the tight ends are the surprise play, like Isaiah Likely, everybody wants to go after him. But in reality, tight ends are going to tight end. And they are not going to be valid options every single week. They're just going to be weird and fluky, especially the ones off the waiver wire. So what's the strategy with these tight ends? You want to look at the opportunity. You want to look at the routes ran. Then there's more potential for targets. And then you just got to hope to score that touchdown. So the upside matters, especially when you're looking at a matchup here against the Rams. That game's going to be highly volatile. That's going to be a game script that could break either way. When I say either way, it could be high scoring or low scoring. That's going to be one of those games that I break down and people are going to make fun of me because I'm going to say it's going to hit the under or over. And really, I'm just breaking down both ends. And you're just going after the end you like the most, really, when I do that. I'm not going to tell you what to do to tail when everything's so ambiguous. And this game could break weirdly. This could be a fun one to watch. It's great for football watching. But gambling, going to be very weird, especially for the tight end spot. But he's also in some matchups down the road. Luke Musgrave's health is going to be an interesting option for him. But it's also going to present some upside. Because even if he's back, maybe 10%, 20% more routes ran. Maybe a few more targets going his way. A few more goal line looks. That could potentially happen for Tucker Kraft. That being said, tight ends are going to tight end. So if he busts and only scores 5 fantasy points, what does it really matter? What does it really matter if you look at it in those rounds? You're looking at the Rams here, and they're okay against the tight end. A little bit worse than league average. That's buoyed by Trey McBride. And look at the league average for the NFL. PPR, points per reception. 9.9 points per game allowed to tight ends on average by NFL defenses. That is the average. That is the norm. So that fits the narrative I'm saying, all facts and data here. So what I like about Tucker Kraft is his athleticism. He's getting run in the passing game. You're hoping for a touchdown. You're hoping for more routes. He's ranked top 10 per 4for4.com. So his rankings among sites is okay. And really, you're just hoping he brings in that touchdown or gets a few extra targets and he brings those in. The odds of him being a top scorer for fantasy is not very good considering there's only like 3 tight ends a week who are top scorers. And there's only like 5 to 6 tight ends a week who are even scoring double digits or more. That being said, I'm shooting for upside here. I know this game script can be weird. With the Rams, they're on the road, and if it's weird, that means weird things can happen for the tight end, and maybe a touchdown can be had for Tucker Kraft, especially with that size-adjusted athleticism, and maybe a hit on a couple mismatches on a few series. Outside of that, if it doesn't work out, he scores 7 fantasy points, he's still only a few points away from being a top tight end, like in the top 5, top 6, top 8 range of the position. And that's just how the cookie crumbles with the tight end spot. You don't need him because now you hate all tight ends. You think they're not real. You don't care anymore because that was a lot of negative about tight ends. And you know what? You're just going to play matchups. You're going to gamble. You know that tight end's going to tight end. You're going to pick him up. You're going to throw him in there. You're going to see what's going to happen. But being real with you, there's some opportunity here. He could catch a few extra balls. We got good athleticism. This is a good offense. If Musgrave's out, Tucker Kraft is a guy that I'm going to lean on, especially when I'm looking at other tight ends. And I got 1-for-1s there. I'm probably going to use this situation as a hedge and go his way. That being said, tight ends are going to tight end. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on next video.